Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ultimate Achievement System. We are David and Melissa Muller. I'm not sure if you can hear me right now.
Your
Melissa
mic is,
says no.
yeah, your mic is very fuzzy.
Oh, that's not good. How about now?
Better.
All right, so bear with me while we get some of this technical stuff taken care of. Alyssa, while I do that, why don't you introduce our topic today? We're going to be going through the Ultimate Achievement System.
Yes. So
Well,
you're much better now. Your mic is much better. All right, friends. So we're doing our Ultimate Achievers Alliance year-end review and New Year setup. We're so excited to have you on. And this is something that David and I do every year, but we also do this quarterly. But once a year, we take a look back at the entire year and then get a rough draft, so to speak, set up for the following year. So that's what we're going to run you through today. And it's going to be a very basic and skeleton of how we set up our year.
now we're going to be working in this book right here. So if you haven't downloaded it already, you can take the opportunity now. If you're in the Facebook event, I posted the link. You should be able to download this and print it out and follow along with us. Let's get started. To begin with, what we're going to do, in fact, I'll put it up on the screen right here. To begin with, actually, let's do a real quick introduction of the overall process. Now, we've been entrepreneurs for the last, going on 40 years now. We've done a lot of different things to generate revenue. Some have been pretty successful. Others have been more educational, if you know what I mean. And over the years, we have learned and made a concentrated study of entrepreneurship, success, and why some people are happier than others, why some people are more successful than others, and just what is the difference between those that are highly successful and those that are not. Turns out, probably not a big surprise, but there's only really two differences between highly successful people and those that are not. And it's the way they think and the things that they do. Those are really the only two differences between the two. And so what we've done is we have been able to identify certain traits that all highly successful people have. And it has evolved into a philosophy and a system. And so we're going to lay out this system that we've developed on how to turn any goal into an achievement. And we call it the Ultimate Achievement System. Now, to begin with, whenever we start a new project, we always have what I call the 5-step freedom formula. The first thing that we do is systemize everything. Whatever happens in your business should be part of a system, or whatever project that you're doing. And once you have everything systemized, then you're going to want to automate as many of those systems that you can. Automation is one of the greatest tools we have in today's world. But not everything can be automated. Anything that can't be automated, delegate. Delegate, bring in a specialist that enjoys doing that part of it and pay them a piece of the action so they have a vested interest in the success of the overall program. And then that's step 3. The 4th step is to do the fun parts yourself. If you build a system like this around something that you're passionate about, then you will be able to spend every day in your passion. And step 5 is to keep all of the gears oiled and your finger on the pulse so that you know. And as long as you build this perfectly running model and keep it going, then you'll always be able to live in your passion if you've built it around that. So this Ultimate Achievement System is a more detailed, step-by-step version of that when it comes to goal setting and crushing those goals. So the easiest way to explain the Ultimate Achievement System in more detail is a 1-3-5-7-9. We start with 1 vision, we apply 3 power traits to 5 habits of success, and then we run a 7-day model, so we run 7 days at a time, and then we reset our action plan every 90 days. And so let's just go through those real quick. Alyssa, do you want to talk a little bit about why we start with 1 vision and why it's their vision?
Yeah, so I'll also, just a heads up, guys. So this is it's very important for you to think about this as your time. So protect your time, turn your phones off, shut the door, have a little sign up on your door that says, unless an emergency happens, and 911 needs to be called, do not disturb me. So protect your time, because this is about you. This is about setting up your foundation, reviewing your, what happened last year, or in the cases of 90 days at a time, when you're reviewing your 90 days at a time, you want to protect that time so that you can really be focused and really, it has to start with you. It's like the oxygen mask on a plane. They don't say put the oxygen mask on everyone else and then yourself. They say to put it on you first. So this is your time to put your oxygen mask on. So with that said, I would love for you to have notes, because there's going to be a lot of information. And of course, during our, yearly, we do have a way for you to be mentored by us more regularly, should you want to do that after this. So we'll end with how you can stay connected with us, and we can help you along the way. But why we start with One Vision is because it's kind of like that beacon, like that when you're lost at sea and you're looking for that beacon, that lighthouse, if you will. The North Star is also a great analogy. So the One Vision is to cast, starting with the end in mind. What is your ultimate vision? And when we're talking about right now is your vision of your best life. At the end, when you're looking back, what is that going to look like? What do what vision do you have about yourself as a human on this planet? Not just in who you are as a person, but what you've actually added value to others or caused a ripple effect into the world, your community, your state, your country, the world, the universe. And it will literally, if you follow the system, it will start with you, and it will ripple and ripple, ripple. Pretty soon you'll wake up and say, wow, I not only changed the mass consciousness for the better, but I helped the universe for the better. So, you don't want to start with that like gigantic, overwhelming piece, because sometimes people get frozen with that. But when you start with a vision of where you're at right now, your vision will then expand. Like my vision statement from my 20s, completely different now that I'm 50. But you start with where you're at, and you take that long range vision of what would you love for your life as you looked back on it to look like. All right, David, over to you.
Okay, there. I was muted there for a second. Perfect. Thank you so much. So the One Vision, once you start with your One Vision, we're going to go to the 3 power traits. And the 3 power traits are, these are 3 traits that, like I said, all highly successful people have in common. And these are the things that really allow us to say, this works every time. This is a guaranteed program. It works every single time. I've never seen this not work. And the reason is because of these 3 traits. The first one is to be coachable. Coachability is such an important aspect. Alyssa, talk about coachability, being a professional coach yourself. Why is it so important to be coachable?
Yeah, being coachable is one of those things where you just have to be humble. You kind of have to surrender I already know this, or I've already tried that. Those little words or voices in your head, you really have to surrender. And who you connect with for your mentorship, and you say, I'm going to be coachable to, you have to really surrender. 100% just say, okay, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to leave all of those things behind. I've tried this before. I've heard this. All those things that are going to limit you from moving forward. So that's coachability. So basically surrendering and just saying, I'm going to do as I'm told, and keep going and trust the process.
Awesome. Trait number 1, coachability. The second thing you want to be is consistent. Consistency above all is key, and here's why. Our life and our lifestyle is built based on primarily based on habits that we have. Habits and our actions. The habits are actions that are automated, like I was talking about earlier. And so, because our life is built on the habits that we have, you can craft these habits. But the way to craft a habit is through consistency. You only have to force yourself to do something until it becomes a habit. And then once it's a habit, it's automated, and you don't have to think about it anymore. It's just, it happens automatically, and that's where all the magic happens. So the third trait of all highly successful people, this power trait, is tenacity. Just sheer, unyielding, bulldog tenacity. Never quit. And if you apply those 3 traits to these 5 habits of success and reverse engineer your plan every 90 days, you will literally step into your passion and live every day. Now, you've heard us talk about the greatest reward. The greatest reward for your effort is not what you get for it, but who you become through it. But the greatest travesty in life is just the sheer number of people who never really get to live in their passion every day. And let's be honest, there's not very many people that really do live in their passion every single day. Our mission is to rectify that. It's to help facilitate and teach people how they can reverse engineer the lifestyle of their dreams. And so that's what we're doing. So that's the 3 power traits. Now we're going to go through the 5 habits really quick. Habit number 1 is personal growth. It just deals with your mind. Your mind is like a garden. And if you don't take care of what goes into the garden of your mind, the weeds will pop up, lots of negative things will grow, and you're just not going to like what you sow or what you reap from that garden. So that's why it's so important not only to sow the right seeds into your mind, but also to keep the weeds away. So take that as you will. Let's move into the second habit. The second habit deals with your lifestyle. It's practice what you preach. And it goes with, be your own best customer. Be a product of the product. You've heard all these things before, and I think it makes a lot of sense. The third habit deals with our skills. Alyssa, talk about our third habit. It's sharpen the saw.
Yeah, so sharpening the saw is very important because as you move into any area of your life, you always want to be the best of the best. Okay, you want to strive to be the expert in that field. You're not going to start off that way. So that's what sharpen the saw is all about. It's about getting to become that expert, learning all of the tiny, tiny details that get you to that end result of being an expert. So that's sharpening the saw.
Yeah, now keep in mind, you don't have to be the expert. I mean, you don't have to be the best, but the habit is to strive to be the best in the world at whatever it is, that niche that you've decided to do. So that brings us to habit number 4. Habit number 4 deals with our people, and we call the habit mastermind your tribe. Now there's a couple of different parts of that. The mastermind, which we've probably all heard about, there's lots that's been talked about and taught about the mastermind phenomenon. I think originally the phrase was coined by Napoleon Hill in Master Key to Riches, or Think and Grow Rich, something along those lines. And the mastermind, I won't go into a lot of detail on that, but there's a few things that we believe should be included in your mastermind. Of course, your mentors should be included in your mastermind. I'm just looking at text coming in, they're trying to pop in. Some people are having a hard time finding it. So, what was I saying?
Mastermind your tribe.
Oh yeah, mastermind your tribe. The mastermind. So your mentors should be part of your mastermind. Now, not just a mentor, but mentors. I believe that you should have a specific mentor for each aspect of your life, and each project or each business you may need a different mentor for. So mentors should be part of your mastermind. Also, if you're married or you have a significant other, I believe that your spouse or your significant other should be part of your mastermind. Not in every case, but in our case it works really well, and I think in most cases it probably should. And then and then kind of on the outer edges of our inner circle, we call this mastermind, is our people that we are mentoring. We believe that in order to be truly good at your craft, you teach it to others. And so at the edge of our mastermind, on the outside edges, is our mentees, people that we're working with, and then also just outside of that, because I look at this as kind of a circles going out, from ourselves to our inner circle, to our mastermind, our inner circle, and then it kind of goes out from there all the way through our influence. But that's a whole other topic. We'll get into that later. So beyond your mentees is your implementation team, which is all the people that you're working with on a professional level and are helping you put your stuff together. And then beyond that is basically your tribe. Your tribe, for these purposes, means everyone else that you have any influence with at all. Anyone else that your influence touches is your tribe. And so what we want to do is we want to mastermind our tribe, because we believe that one of the most valuable things that you'll ever build in your life is a loyal group of people. And we could get a lot more detail into that, but in the interest of time, we're going to move on to the fifth. The fifth habit is probably my favorite, and it's pay it forward. This one deals with your heart. And for me, habit number 5 feels like the reward. I mean, have you ever done something nice for somebody and you get that good feeling, right? And you know what I'm talking about. What if we all became addicted to that feeling? What if we all went out there every day and looked for ways to pay it forward? Look for ways to add value to others, and just look for ways to add value to other people and go the extra mile and do what we can. And we encourage other people to do that, and we created a movement. We would change the world, and that's really what we need right now. So that's habit number 5, pay it forward. Alyssa, you want to talk about any of that before we get right into the nitty-gritty of the reverse engineering?
I think we should get right into it.
Okay.
Like, there's some people trying to get in. I don't know if you can help them. I have no idea. I'm not the tech god. So you're much better at technology than I am.
Oh, okay, perfect. So just to be, I want to take a quick break right now, and I just want to encourage you to share this stream wherever you're watching it. We're live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook, and we're also live on TikTok over here. Thanks, guys, for watching. This is my very first live TikTok, and so we'll see how that goes. So if you have not, so share it if you haven't already. Tell your friends. I see some people are trying to get in, and I'm not going to be able to take a break and go and try to figure out how to get everybody in. So we are streaming live, so spread the word. This is going to be good. Let's get into the worksheet itself, the workbook itself. So if you haven't already, you can download the workbook here. In the Facebook event, there's the link to download the workbook. If not, you can connect with us, and we will be sure to get you this information. It's important to us that you get this information. And so to begin with, the first page in this book is, let's see what it looks like. Boom, it looks like this. We're going to celebrate wins. The step 1 of our process that we do every 90 days is to, we do this lifestyle review. It's all about gratitude. And so there's this page and the facing page. If I can get to the next page, is failing forward. So these 2 pages, what you want to do is we want to go through our lifestyle. We want to do a lifestyle review over the last 90 days. Now, since this is the end of the year and we're launching the new year, I would actually take some time to go through your entire year, 2021. There's a couple of different resources to use for this. The first one is, of course, your social media. Your social media, your Facebook stream, your Twitter stream, just wherever you document your life, go through that. Just take a look and just, what's the word I'm thinking of? Just reminisce over the year and go through and look at the different things. It'll jog your memory about what are the things that happened. Now, Facebook, you'll notice, is a lot of these wins. You post a lot of really good stuff that happened to you on Facebook and places like that. And so you want to go through and just jot down memorable things. What are some of the wins that you can celebrate and really feel gratitude for from this year? And then also, while you're doing this exercise, pay attention to the habits in your life. Now, the reason we do this is because we don't normally pay attention to habits. It's kind of the whole point of a habit. But I want you to kind of think about what are the habits that are manifesting in your life and how are they showing up? What are they producing in your life? Look at the good habits. Look at the bad habits. Look at the old habits. Look at new habits. I mean, just take a little bit of time as you reflect on your life to celebrate your wins, to also look at what is causing those wins and the habits in your life. And then the other thing also while you're doing that is the failing forwards. Now, failing forward moments are the not so awesome things that happened to your life over the last 90 days, or in this case, the entire year. Take a look. And now, in this case, go through your calendar. Maybe go through your journal or your notebook if you keep anything like that. Go through those resources. If you have a Google Calendar or a paper calendar, just go through that and look through what are the different appointments that you had. What are the meetings that showed up on your calendar? What are the things that you calendar blocked last year or last quarter, and what and how did they pan out? What are the things that kind of sucked? What are the things that really hit you and threw you for a loop? And how did you grow through that? What did you learn from that? How did you fail forward from that? You got to remember that getting up is part of falling down. And when you fail, fail often. Fail as much as you can. Fail early, but fail forward. Fail forward. Because if you can learn from your failures, that's where the growth is. You can look back on things like I'm talking about. You can look back on the crappy things that happened, and you can a lot of times see what you learned from that, or what good things or what blessings came from that trial, those trials and those tribulations. The trick, and what really will make a difference in your life, is if you can learn and get into the habit of looking for those things, those blessings, in the midst of the challenge, and truly feel the gratitude for the challenge itself because of the blessings in the midst of it. Now, if you get to that point, mark my words, you will never, ever, ever, ever have another bad day. No more bad days ever again when you get to that point. Alyssa, you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah. Also, go to the private chat, David. I've been messaging you while you've been talking.
Thanks, sir.
Friends, it's so important for you guys to really take note of the wins. We always start with the wins because they're so positive. They create your state going into this. And, the way that we run is we do 7 days at a time. So we actually do this in a mini series every 7 days. But for those of you that are just starting, and you're just like, I just want to take a look at the year and kind of get your foot on the ground of actually starting to evaluate, especially if you're in a state of, I want more. I know I need to serve more. I know the world needs me to show up more. If you have any of those thoughts going on, this is definitely the system for you. It's going to help you understand exactly what is happening, moving forward and knowing what to do. So that's why I love this system. So pay attention to the wins first. Always start with gratitude. What are you grateful for? What wins are you so excited that you accomplished? And they don't have to be gigantic, like, world peace. It literally can be as much as, hey, last year I did pretty good on my nutrition. Or last year I exercised more than not. Or maybe it's like, hey, I counted to 10 before I exploded on somebody that was really irritating me. So like, give yourself those wins. All of those wins matter, and all of those wins are significant. And when you put them in writing, it actually, there's been proven statistics that anything that goes from your brain to your hand, onto paper, actually it creates a higher energy force. So just like writing down a goal is so much more important than just thinking it in your head only. So with that said, then you go to your Failing Forward. Now, if you haven't read the book by John C. Maxwell, Failing Forward, this is where that comes from. David and I, our system is not new and invented new things. We actually took the best of who we consider some of our greatest mentors. And John C. Maxwell did mentor us for a year in a group setting. We learned so much from him. And the Failing Forward part is so important because you literally can look at any type of challenge, mistake, error, just even break in your own like personal promises to yourself, anything like that, you can look at it as a failing forward moment as long as you evaluate, pivot, and move forward and learn from it. So the failing forward is actually the learning process. If you are scared to fail, you literally are dying and alive at the same time. So important for you to understand that while you're frozen out of fear of failing, you're actually not living. Super important for you guys to understand that. So David and I will wake up each morning almost looking for the fail because we want to grow. We know that in the fail, we're going to learn so much. Now, is it enjoyable? Of course not. Like, no one loves to fail. But if you always are looking at, wow, okay, that's a failing forward moment. What can I learn from this? It immediately goes from sadness or anger or, shame or guilt to, okay, what am I going to learn from this? And then immediately, boom, it changes your whole state of mind and your energy. All right, over to you, David.
Thanks. And that's so powerful too, because most of my life, up until relatively recently, I have avoided discomfort. I have avoided pain. I have avoided all that kind of stuff, which, has made it kind of difficult to accomplish some of the things I wanted to accomplish. But it's really an eye-opener. Once you understand that and really begin to live it in your life, it is a mind blower. But anyway, let's move on. The next thing that we want to do, once we have done our lifestyle review and we're kind of in this frame of mind of gratitude, we've filled our heart with gratitude, the next thing we want to do is we really want to go and identify what our core values are. This is a good frame of mind to start that in. And we have a core values. If I'm going to show, let me bring this back up on the screen. So in the workbook, there is this core value sheet. And the way this works is you're going to make a couple passes. The first pass, you're just going to go through these and just read each word out loud to yourself one at a time and just go through, accountability, accuracy, achievement, adventurousness, altruism, and just read each of those words one by one. And any word that resonates with you, just give it a circle. Okay, go through the entire thing. And notice at the end of the list, there's a few blank lines. If something that is on your heart that's not on the list, add it to the list. Now you have kind of a rough your first pass of sorting these out. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go through the list again and skip over the ones that aren't marked. And so you're just going to go through and draw a star or a line or something. You're going to mark these with the next level mark, so to speak. And you're going to do this, and gradually you're going to narrow these down into 3 to 5, but probably 3, as you see down on the bottom of the page, 3 of these, the top core values. What are the things at this point in time, because we reassess this every 90 days because things change, what is, at this point in time, what are your core values? What is really important to you at this point? And then you write those in the 3 boxes at the end, and going through that process, take the time to really narrow down where your core values are. Alyssa, you want to talk to that?
Yes. So, sent you a couple messages. So on the core values, what you're going to find is you're going to really understand that these actually change. One of the things that I didn't understand early on is you think core values, they're always going to stay the same, but they actually don't. Because while some things are super important, like family is obviously a core value of mine. But as I move forward, it may not be in my top 5. And it doesn't mean that I don't care about family. It just means that those core values are the ones that I'm moving into. It's almost like a given that family is a part of my core value. So think about it in terms of what resonates with you right now, right this minute. And maybe you're in a core value of like growing into that core value or staying true to that core value. All of that is going to have different meaning to each of you at different parts of your life. And so the true thing is that you have to make sure that you understand either you're growing into the core value or it is something that you want to exaggerate into the coming year. Okay. So those are very, very important parts of moving into the core values. And like I said, they're going to change. So accept that they're going to change and just flow. Just let it flow. All right, over to you, David.
Oh, I'm muted. Okay. That's better. So, okay, perfect. So once you've identified your core values, you've gone through the gratitude exercise, and now what we want to do is we want to roll all of that energy into crafting a vision statement. Now, let me pull the next slide up. Failing forward, that's the previous slide. Celebrate wins. Core values. I'll find it. Oh, look at that. They're all coming up now. Goal storming. That's not it. Vision statement. Here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is the vision statement worksheet. Now, your vision statement, the way I look at it, is kind of a articulation of your ideal life. When you've crushed all your goals, you're living your dream lifestyle, you're making a difference, you're doing all the things that you always said you're going to do, and you're really just crushing it, what does that look like? I mean, what is the actual day in the life of? This one's coupled with the this one, and this is a week at a glance. And so one of the things we do is to prepare for our vision statement is to craft out the perfect week. If you were to live the perfect week, what would it look like? Not the just like the ideal work, a week in and week out. What would a typical week look like in your perfect lifestyle? Alyssa, you want to talk a little bit about the vision statement and crafting it?
Yes, and I sent you some chats. Okay, so the week, what you want to do is you want to set up basically, if it's, and David, can you mute out? If it's, I want to wake up when I feel like it. So literally, like, my vision statement from when I was in my 20s was, I want to wake up when my eyes open and my body is ready from rest. So did that happen overnight? No, but it definitely happened through time as I kept on making that in my vision statement, and every decision that I made moving forward actually adjusted to enabling that to happen. Now, do the majority of my days I wake up when my body is done resting? Yes. But are there some days that I have to set the alarm clock? 100%. Like tomorrow, when we have to catch an airplane, we have to set the alarm. And it's going to be like a horrible hour of the morning that we have to get up and leave. But it's worth it for the end result, which is we're bringing our one of our tribes to celebrate basically the end of the year and kind of run through this system with them. So think about that with the end in mind. And then also, like, where do you want to be? Like right now I'm looking outside and it's snowing. Like, that's very rare for where we live for there to be snow on the ground, but literally there's snow everywhere. I would not want to be somewhere where it's snowing the majority of the time. I personally don't like being cold. So for me, it's going to be a tropical paradise, or being able to fly to a tropical paradise whenever I feel like it. So think about that when you're building that vision statement and when you're really thinking long-term, and do not limit yourself. If there's anything I could share with you is do not limit yourself. It's very important to think so big that you almost get giddy, because if it happened to come true, you would literally be living in bliss. So that's what I would definitely push you to do. Like, nothing is impossible. Nothing. Even like David saying, like, he wants to, have a outer space flight. Like me, that's not at all on my goal storming, any part of my, my vision at all. But the fact that he wants to do that, I want to put us in a position where, should that opportunity arise, that David gets to be able to do that. So think about that. Like, to me, I not that I think it's impossible, but it's definitely not something that is possible at this moment for everybody. But what you have to do is you have to keep yourself from limiting that is actually possible, because it is possible. Obviously, this last year proves 2 people actually went like out to outer space. David knows way more about that. I watched it, but I really didn't pay too much attention because it's not in my wheelhouse or my desire. So, David, over to you.
Thanks. Yeah, I just, since I was a kid, I always had this vision that we would one day in our lifetime be able to have these commercial flights to space, and now we're seeing it in real life. So, yeah, that's on my list. I definitely plan on going to space at some point. We'll see how it goes. And so, moving right along, we have a vision statement. I'll tell you mine. Mine's short and sweet. I live every day purposely to both inspire and to empower others to step into their passion and live even more healthy, wealthy, and wise. That's my vision statement. I've fine-tuned it over the years, and it's pretty tight. Every single word means, is there specifically. Shall we move on? Alyssa, do you have, yours is longer.
So my vision statement actually shortened this year. It's been the same for about 8 years. But now mine is, I am a leader of leaders. I equip those who are strong in their purpose and enable them to live and achieve their missions and goals.
Whew, that's powerful. I love it. So now that we have our vision statement and we are kind of in the frame of mind, now let's get into the nitty-gritty of actual planning out our next 90 days. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of goal storming. Now, goal storming is exactly what it sounds like. It's kind of like brainstorming, but just with goals. So we have a goal storming sheet, but you can just open up your notes or a notebook or your journal or whatever, and just write down anything you've ever wanted to do, everything you've ever wanted to learn, places you'd like to go and visit, vacations you'd like to have, things you'd like to buy, gifts you'd like to give, things you'd like to learn, anything, just anything you've ever wanted to do. Nothing's too small, nothing's too big, nothing's too outrageous, nothing's too menial, nothing's too crazy. This is just a goal-storming list. Some of these things may never make it to the drawing board, so to speak. This is just kind of a brain dump of anything you've ever wanted to do. And this might take some time. Now, for me, I keep this as an ongoing thing. As I go through my day-to-day operations throughout the year, throughout the cycles, the months, the quarters, there's things that I come across that I think, hey, that'd be cool to do, or that'd be cool to have, or something like that. And so I have a place where I put that and keep track of it. So when I do this exercise every 90 days, I go back to that list and I begin there. I begin to put those things onto that list. And I also review the last lists or previous lists that I've had. It's very nice if you keep track and you keep a journal and a planner and you write your goal storming in here. This becomes one of the tools when you do your lifestyle review, and also through this entire process that we do every 90 days, you can review back on all the things that you've wanted to do in the past, and so it helps that process. You want to talk about goal storming, Alyssa?
Yeah, so when David said 90 days, I mean, obviously right now we're doing the year because we're working with people that maybe have never done reverse engineering of 90 days at a time. So to not get overwhelmed, just make sure that think about the year. What are your goals for this upcoming year? So, David, can you mute out because your back noise is pretty big. So you want to think about what would you like to accomplish over this next year? Maybe it's going to be to get out of consumer debt. Maybe it's going to be to move out of the state that you're in. Nothing is too big and nothing is too small. And so just think about that in terms of your year. What is your year goal? And then what we'll do is we're going to reverse engineer it down to 90 days at a time. So when you're goal storming, what we teach our team or our Ultimate Achievers members is this part of it. We take about 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes up to an hour, and we let you goal storm your entire life. Like David had going to the moon, all sorts of stuff that is really, really, really big. So goal storm in terms of that, and don't sort them yet. So if you have time afterwards, this is where I would spend the majority of my time, is really dreaming big And when I say dream, these will come true. You literally can manifest all of these things to actually come true. We have so many Ultimate Achievers members that literally have put pen to paper goals such as buy land with a house. And at that time, they had very terrible credit. They had no savings built up. Literally on paper looked like they would never achieve this. And within a very short time period, they were able to buy the land and the house and have their dream lifestyle of having a fire pit in the backyard, being able to grow food on their land. So you just think in terms of nothing is limited. You are unlimited, as our spiritual mentor, Dr. Michael Gross says. You are unlimited. So think of it in terms of that when you're goal storming. Over to you, David.
Perfect. So as you have this list, this ongoing goals, this list of just things that you want to do, right? The next thing you do is you need to prioritize. You need to kind of sort that list out, because you're not going to do all those things. You're going to cherry pick the things that you want to do and work and reverse engineer those things. And so what you want to do is what I do is I go through and I give each of the goals a rating. Now, if you do this in I give it a time rating. How many cycles do you expect it to take? Is this a 3-year goal, or is it a 6-month goal? Is it a 90-day goal? Whatever the case is, we break it into 90-day cycles, because we run in 90-day cycles. And so how many quarters, how many 90-day cycles do you expect it to take? And here, I'll put this back in here. So this is what the goal short list looks like. Once you have it narrowed down to maybe the top 10 that are the highest priority. Now that's the order. The first column is how many cycles it's going to take. The second column is is a priority rating. Now, I get kind of technical with it, but basically this is how bad you want it and how quickly you want it. Give it a rating. Give it a rating of maybe 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 or whatever whatever you want to do, rate it. Because what you're going to do is you're going to use these assessments on how to choose what you do first. Now, the other thing that you're going to sort your goals by is the hats that you wear, the roles that you have in life. Your different goals are going to serve different roles in your life. And once you identify the goals that are most important and identify which roles they serve, you may notice that your life may end up off balance. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing as long as you're aware of it and can adjust. That's also why we run in 90-day cycles, is that you may need to take a 90-day cycle and focus most of your effort on a particular aspect of your life, which means other aspects of your life may suffer. So as long as you're aware of that going in, those other aspects of your life that may suffer this next 90-day run, you can prepare the people in those circles. You can prepare and you can adjust and assess, what needs to be done. Now, on the other hand, you may want to keep a pretty good balance in your life, and then you can readjust. Whatever the case is, there's 3 ways to sort your goals: how long it's going to take, the priority rating, and what roles they serve. And then based on those 3 things, then assess which one you're going to start with. Alyssa, you want to talk about how to sort goals before we go into where to go with it from there?
Yeah, so what David said is very true. So you just have to really think to yourself, yes, what's most important, but maybe that goal is like a 5-year out goal that you have to reverse engineer. So what are some short goals that you can knock out of the park over the first 90 days or the year? And that way you can feel like, wow, I'm understanding the system. I'm understanding how to reverse engineer it. I'm understanding how to pivot it. So think of it in terms of that. Like, my favorite ones are obviously a health goal, to release weight, maybe to build muscle. Another one would be, to get out of debt, consumer debt, credit card consumer debt is super easy to reverse engineer. You just have to be disciplined and actually stay true to the plan. There's lots of great ways to get out of consumer debt. And there's not one way that's perfect. They all have different positive pros and cons to them. So that's what I would say as far as the goal short list is. I would add at least, and also very important, it does say 10, but I would stick to 5. I would say make sure to focus on no more than 5, especially if you're a beginner. I can do 10, but gosh, I've been doing this for like 30 years. So it's been a long time. But I would say at the very beginning, really focus on 1 or 2 specifically, but put in 5. And they should be a combination of a couple short, maybe a medium, and a couple long. Okay, David, over to you. Did you see my messages?
I've been looking at them. Yeah, so this is live on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. It's also live on Facebook, on my Facebook page, as well as the event Facebook page. This will also be recorded, so if you missed any portion of it, you will be able to rewatch it, and also get a hold of me if you need a replay or if you have any other questions. And I can't see that, Alyssa.
Okay, so basically when I go to your page, this is what I see. I just see the event. I don't see our live streaming, just so you know. It's not, it doesn't.
So if you click, yes, I believe if you click on the event and go into the event, it streams in the event. This is the first time I've done streaming to an event too.
Yeah, it's not showing, but that's okay. I just wanted you to know that. Yeah.
Well, that is unfortunate, and such is the nature of things. And this is a perfect example of I really feel blessed. I really, really feel blessed to have these challenges so that we can learn how to overcome them. And I'm super excited to be able to go live at 3 places at the same time and be able to figure out what challenges go wrong with it. And so I know for you TikTokers, you're only getting half of this on my half, and so we'll work on that too. But so yeah, I honestly, I'm overwhelmed with emotion right now because this is a perfect example of failing forward, because this is going to get even better than it is now. So there are people watching, so
yeah, the cool thing about it is that I'm new to technology, and what I see maybe is not what others see. So we'll have to go back and double check and see if it's actually streaming live or not. But I wanted to share it on my Facebook, and I'm not able to. So we'll figure all of that out. And in the meantime, let's move forward onto what is after our goal storming and our short list.
All right, perfect. So once you have your short list created, you are going to, well, cherry pick. You can pick any goal. Now what I do is, since I have a priority rating, I usually start at the top because, well, that's the highest priority. But like Alyssa said, you don't have to. Maybe you might want to, especially if you're new to this process, this system, like Alyssa was talking about, it might make sense to start with a couple of easier ones. And they might be the highest priority, whatever the case is. You get to choose. It's your choice. You get to pick, but I would just pick one. Pick one to begin with. And then what you're going to do is you're going to reverse engineer that process. You're going to reverse engineer what it takes to do that. So we have a goal worksheet, and let me get it up here so you can see what it looks like. Going the wrong way. Goal worksheet. This is what the goal worksheet looks like. Let me get a better angle on it. Okay, so as you can see, this is the goal worksheet. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start up here at the top, and what you're going to do is you're going to put your quantified goal. Now, we didn't talk about SMART goals, but it's important that your goals, by the time they get to this worksheet, are SMART goals. And the SMART acronym, you're probably familiar with those. If you're not, just Google it. You'll be able to find them. So make sure they're SMART goals. And so what we want to do, if this goal that we're working with is a more than 90 day, is more than one cycle, what you want to do is you want to break it down into benchmark goals so that you're working with a 90-day beginning, right? So we're going to reverse engineer it in 90-day cycles. So if you're working with more than 90 days for this goal, break it down into 90-day cycles, and then you're going to take that into like 90-day benchmark goals. If you have a 1-year goal, where does that goal need to be by the end of March, by the end of this first quarter? And so that's the goal that we're working on this goal worksheet. So that first box up there, where my mouse is now, is the quantified 90-day goal. This is the quantified means you need to have a number for it. For instance, if you have a sales goal, then it's easy to figure out what that's an easy number, right? If you have a weight loss goal, that's an easy number. Now, if you have a goal that isn't necessarily an easy number, like a weight loss or a sales goal or something like that, then you might need to just put it as a percent. This is a percent of the way done, which means your number would be 100% of the way done. And so that's the first thing, is to identify exactly what you're going to accomplish, what it looks like in those 90 days. And in that triangle, that diamond where the 90 is in the top, right here, in that diamond, that's where that number goes. Okay? And then you're going to transfer this number down to here, down to this diamond here. Now we'll go to this box here. Why is this important to you? Now, this is the number one goal that you have chosen to begin with for a reason. Really write down in that box, why is this important? Why is this at the top of the priority list at this point? What is it that makes it so important? Now, another thing that is not on this sheet that you might probably add, but that you might want to think about, is to add a or else clause to it, which means if you basically a risk and a reward. If when you make this goal, this is your reward, or if you don't make this goal, this is your consequence. Now, Ronnie Doss told us a story. It was one time he did this, and he wrote a check to, I don't know what it was, to I don't know, somebody he didn't like, and so it was super important to him that this did not that he met this goal. And so I heard that, and so we decided to do the same thing. This was during the election of a while back, and I said, okay, so I'm going to do that. We set a goal, and I'm going to, I wrote a check for $500 to the campaign, to the person that I wanted least to win, if you know what I mean, right? And I wrote the check to the campaign, I put it in an envelope, and I gave it to somebody with the instructions that if I don't reach this goal, mail it. Well, let me tell you, that was a huge incentive, because there was no way that I was going to allow that money to go to a cause that I thought was as evil as this one was. But that's a whole other topic. The point is, it's super powerful to add a risk and reward. And honestly, for me, that risk was a lot more powerful than the reward might have been. So anyway, so why is that important to you? And then, what if you don't do it? Now it brings us to here. We're at this 90 day. This is what the number is going to be, our quantified goal number at 90 days, which means we want to benchmark it down. What will it need to be at 60 days, and which will it need to be at 30 days? So then we have our goal number broken down into small benchmark increments. And then this action plan right here for this 30-day goal, all we need to do is reverse engineer what are the actions, the actual activity that it's going to take to turn turn that number, to reach that number goal, that benchmark for the first month. And once you have your actions are going to fall into a couple of different categories. On one side, they may be things that you need to accomplish and become accomplishments, check off and get over with. And the other thing, these may be things that you want to become habits, that you want to embed into your arsenal of habits. You want to talk about that at all, Liz?
No, I just want to share with you guys that this is the most important, I think, part that separates those that achieve their goals versus those that don't. David, can you mic out? So when you're using this sheet, it actually helps you with the next step. Because a lot of people think, hey, I want to set this goal. And then they've been taught, if you write it down and you think about it, you pray about it, you meditate it, just going to happen. Now, while indeed that is a helpful part of any kind of system is definitely meditate, pray, always stay in high positive vibration, but you actually have to take action. Have to. And action doesn't have to be perfect. Action doesn't even have to be right. It just has to be action. You must make movements forward. And then you're going to learn from them. That is so crucial. And that's why it's really important. And this sheet is so important to take the time to actually reverse engineer the steps. Now, I'll go through one that's pretty easy, releasing weight, super easy to reverse engineer. We all know there's 2 keys to releasing weight. It's what food you put in your body and how much you exercise. Those 2 are key components. So what you want to do is reverse engineer exercise into your daily habits and great nutrition into your daily habits. How do you do that? Well, there's a variety of different ways that you can do that. You can join a company that actually takes all the reverse engineering of the nutrition out. You just follow a simple system. You can actually do meal prepping every Saturday or Sunday, whatever works best for you. Maybe it's a Monday, and you meal prep the whole week. So you actually portion control out all of your meals. They're all organized. The point is you put a system together so you cannot fail. You literally, in the midst of a decision to make, like for instance, somebody gives you a bag of M&Ms, or you're in the car somewhere and you're hungry and you're like, dang, I'm really hungry. It's easier to actually know, okay, my food is prepped and it's ready for me to go. I just need to get to that place and do that, versus stopping and going, gosh, I don't have food ready anyway. It's going to take me a whole hour to make it. I'll just go to this convenience store and pick up X, Y, and Z. And now you're tempted. Now you have to really depend on your resistance, your ability to say no and your tenacity, which a lot of times most people don't have. So in the midst of actually having to make that decision, make it easy. Make it an easy decision. And how that happens is by preparation and following a system. All right, over to you, David.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so once you have these activities broken into things that will either become accomplishments or things that will become habits, then it's time to calendar block them. Now, you're going to calendar block all of it, and then the things that are going to become habit, you're going to put into a habit tracker. A habit tracker is basically, just a way to track your habits. Let me see if I can find one up here. It's pretty simple. Goal storming, going the wrong way. Okay, here's the habit tracker. The habit tracker, basically across the top, across here, you have the weeks. There's 13 weeks in 90 days. And down here, you have the habits. As you identify what the activities are that you want to commit to habit, put them here. And then you're going to assess, how many times a week, how many times this week you're going to do it. Maybe it's a daily habit. Maybe you need to get into the habit of doing something once a week or 3 times a week or whatever the case is. Identify that. And then once you have your habits here, the weeks here, every week during your GPS, your goal progression session, remember you're going to check in with yourself every week and with your accountability partner or your mentors or your focus group, whatever the case may be, and check in, and you're going to score yourself on this habit here. On this activity that I'm turning into a habit, how did I do? On a scale of 1 to 10, how well did I do on that? And how well did I do on this one? How well did I do on this one? And really give yourself a self-assessment. Now, you can get mathematical with it, and I have, if it's 3 times a week, you get 3 points for each. If you get all 3, you get the 10th point also. I mean, there's different things like that. If it's 5 times a week, you get 2 points each. Whatever the case is, you're going to score yourself each week and track your habits. Now, if you diligently track your activities and your goals and look at those 2 things together, you'll notice the correlation. Most people don't see the correlation. You can assume there's a correlation, but if you track it, you'll actually be able to see the correlation between the percent of your activity and the percent of your goal. And you'll also notice that your goal accomplishment is about 90 days behind your activity. So kind of keep that in mind as you're ramping up activity. Alyssa, why don't you talk a little bit about calendar blocking? Alyssa is the calendar blocking expert. Let's get into some detail with it.
Yeah, so with calendar blocking, what you want to do is kind of what I went through at the beginning is you want to protect your time. So you literally have to change your state in the fact of this is me putting my oxygen mask on in order to help others, to serve others, to grow others, also to grow myself. I have to put the oxygen mask on first. So when you're calendar blocking, that's literally the thoughts that you should be saying to yourself. This is my time, and it's not selfish. It's actually more important for you to do this for others, because in this moment, you're going to take time to grow yourself. You're going to take time to accomplish your goals, which will then emanate like positive energy throughout everyone that you're around. So when you calendar block, it could be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. It does not matter. You reverse engineer the actions that will actually go in there. And at first, you're going to be actually guessing. This is especially if you're first starting, it literally is a process that takes time to learn and to learn about yourself. Like I've got mine pretty much calendar blocked 15 minutes at a time. I didn't start out that way. I started out with 2-hour blocks because I did not know how long it would take me to get the things accomplished. But then as I learned, there are certain things I do calendar block for an hour, but very rarely. Most of them are in 15-minute blocks, and I just bang them out, boom, 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 and then I move to the next thing. So as you get better and more of an expert, you'll get a lot more accomplished when your calendar blocking goes down in size. Now, does that mean that you need to go immediately to that in order to be the best at it? No. You start where you're at. It's taken me, like I said, 30 years of doing the system to get to the point where I'd say in the last 5 years, I've been able to do 15 minutes to 10-minute blocks. So when you're calendar blocking, you don't just put the time there, because I think that's a lot of what people do is they'll put the time there, like meal prep, 6 to 8 on Sunday, 2 hours, maybe even more, depending on what your meal prepping is a good time block. So your 6 to 8 time block, you have the mindset of no one. So you enroll everybody in your vision, anybody that's in your house that could distract you. You turn your phone off, put your computer aside, put on some music, maybe change your state, don't have the news on, anything that's going to make you upset or create different energies or emotions that you don't want. So control your environment, enroll people in your vision, hey, help me with meal prepping if you want to make it a family event. Or maybe it's, you guys go do these things that are fun for you while I go do these things that's where they are important to me. So you basically create the environment that you need so that you can be successful. So you block those 2 hours out. You have already calendar blocked in all the material items that you need, all the ingredients. So you have all those ready, and now you're ready. Your calendar blocked in your meal time. You set the perimeter, if you will. You protected the environment. You changed your state of mind. You're excited. You control the environment as much as you can. So you go to meal prepping. You go for 2 hours. Now in that calendar block, like I said, you're not just going to put meal prepping. You're actually going to say, I'm going to start with cooking the sausage or, whatever. I mean, I don't meal prep at all, but I'm sure that you have to have some kind of order of meal prepping. So you dial it in, you put all those things in, and you do as much as you can so that you're not at that moment going, great, now what do I do? Right? I've gotten to the point where I can just calendar block and bullet point, and my brain just boom, 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 has all the things in order. But it didn't start out that way, you guys. I literally had to write it all down and check the little tiny boxes within the calendar blocking. So for those of you that love lists, this is where you're going to get super excited. In your calendar blocking is your detailed list. Okay? All right, over to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Now, this is where it gets really good. Once you have your plan reverse engineered down into the actions, you have a calendar block, you have your action plan. Now, all you have to do now is to follow your action plan in order to crush your goals. And that's it. I mean, that's it. You just have to follow the plan. So, easier said than done, right? So that's why we bring in the 7-day run. It's important to check in with yourself and assess how you're doing and reassess. You know, you've heard it said an airplane's off course 95% of the time, right? But miraculously, it still makes it to its final destination because the pilot's doing these constant course corrections, right? And that's exactly how the weekly GPS works too in your goal progression. And as you, every week, check in with yourself, assess how you're doing on your goals, check your activity level against your planned activity level. How are you doing? Are they matching up? And if they are, you'll probably begin to see progress. Now, it might be slow at first because it's kind of like, you know, getting a battleship going or starting up a big locomotive. It starts out kind of slow, little by little. Just keep adding some steam to it, keep going, and pretty soon you'll hit momentum, and it's going to be impossible to stop. That's also why it takes 90 days, why your results are typically about 90 days behind your activities. So keep that in mind. And once you have once you apply this system, right, the entire thing, you know, reverse engineer your goals every 90 days and apply this system like this format onto your lifestyle like a template, right, and just begin to make these little tweaks, it will begin to craft this lifestyle of your dreams, because every 90 days you're reassessing what that means, and then you're reverse engineering the specific activities that it takes in order to put that into effect. Now, as you do it, you know, cycle after cycle after cycle, it becomes second nature, it becomes habit, and the things become a lot easier to you. And not only does the process of reverse engineering and setting up your goals become easier to you, but the actual doing of the activities becomes easier to be, because you get into the habit of getting into the habit. And there's not a lot of things that are more powerful than that. If you literally can craft the life that you want and are not subject to outside influences for your happiness and your passion, there's nothing at all that you cannot do, that you cannot accomplish. Mark my words. Challenge me. See if there's a goal you can apply to this, and see if you apply this to that goal and it doesn't work. I've never seen this not work. Alyssa, do you want to talk a little bit about it? You want to close? I want to close, and I want to give people a way to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
So the 7 days are very important for minor adjustments, and I want to really I think it's so important for you guys to understand this, that a lot of people that fail at achieving their goals is because they give up too soon. They don't look at it as like, okay, this is a pivoting point for me. This is a failing forward that I need to adjust and learn from. So every 7 days until 90 days, we do not allow our ultimate achievers to change their goal. They need to stay with their goal. At the 90, so the 9 part of a 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, the 90, you are then allowed to actually pivot the goal into something else, so that literally you realize, had I not set that goal to begin with, this door would not have opened to this new, and I just got my soul chills. It literally, it's such a beautiful thing, because if you do that every 7 days, you're never going to reach anything, and you're always going to feel like you're just in grasp and reach, or maybe out of reach of every goal. Like you can't figure it out. Why do I never accomplish anything? Well, because you're not sticking to it long enough to figure out what it is you need to learn from it. What about this goal was important to you? Like I remember being very young and wanting, to be an Olympian myself. And of course I didn't have this system in place, but I was living kind of this system authentically as a teenager. And I realized I don't really want to be an Olympian. And I moved to a tiny little pivot of, I want to, go into communications, be a journalist. That was for about 2 years. And then I realized I still love the sport of gymnastics, and it's not done. Like it's not done within me. So I ended up going back to my home, and I married and had a child and bought a gym. And so literally all of those small, what seemed to be insignificant steps actually drew me to what I believe true source, God, your higher power, whatever you want to name the entity that literally is who created us, I knew I was then stepping into what I was authentically placed on this earth at this time to actually do. And so when you get in alignment with that, 7 days at a time, 90-day pivots, you will grow more authentic to what it is that is your purpose, your vision, your mission. And so if you feel a little lost, just follow this and, follow this system. If you have a journal, like I have a journal for each year. So this is my journal from last year, just a leather bound book. And then I have, of course, the Ultimate Achievers Alliance workbook that I follow every 90 days. But every 7 days, we do a mini version of that. We do our fail forwards. We start with our wins. So our wins, fail forwards. And then we do that kind of mini course 7 days a week. I do think that it's super important for you guys to understand and give yourself permission 90 days to make adjustments. But until then, do not adjust. Keep moving forward. And like David said, have somebody like David or I or somebody that's been through a program like this. There's a lot that are similar, but there's none. I think what separates us is the 7 days, the actual worksheet that we have that literally sets you up. Like, what are your obstacles? On that worksheet, it says, what could get in the way? You literally list everything that get in your way, and then you problem solve. You problem solve for those things. So what happens is when we're setting our goals and we're moving them from goals into achievements, when we come to a point where we're like, gosh, I have no solution, I don't even have a person to reach out to help me solve this, you give up. So that's what I believe is the difference between our system and many others that are out there, because there are a lot of really good ones as well. But this is one that I believe, the affordability to have somebody work with you is also there versus others that are so out of so many price ranges. All right, over to you, David.
Yeah, it's so true. Now, I know we're going a little over an hour now, so what I want to do is I want to wrap, but I want to give you guys the opportunity. I want to give you guys an invitation to come work with us and do a 90-day run with us. If you'd like to do a 90-day run with us, if you'd like more details about anything you heard today, or if you have some confusion, you're not sure where to start, or you just want to ask us some questions, or you just want to tour our new online campus, then just come to mymetacampus.com. You can get a glimpse of what our online campus will look like, and also you can set up a meeting, a one-on-one with us to kind of talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. Ask questions, see if a 90-day run with us is in your cards, if it makes sense to you. We are beginning January 1, so if you're interested in running with us, then go to mymetacampus.com, set an appointment, and I can't wait to see you and run with you this year to crush your goals and make 2022 the best year ever.
Yes.
With that,
I'm so excited, David. I want to add real quick and then we can finish. Thank you, all of you that showed up. There were some of you guys that had challenges. I mean, huge shout out to you, Dr. Michael and Julia, and Robin, who figured out how to get on. I mean, that's part of like, hey, you just had your moment of growth right now. And so huge kudos to you guys who didn't give up and figured out how to get in and log on and be with us here on StreamYard. And then this year for David and I, we're moving into basically what I call a manifestation growth. So we're into our 3-5-year plan. We just ended a 3-5-year plan. And so we're going to be going into major growth for us as a couple and also us as individuals, because that's what True Source has really put on both of our hearts. And the My Meta Campus is part of it. About 3 weeks ago, I'm not the tech person at all. David is, but I was like, this is pretty interesting. And David had already told me about it months ago. And I was like, this is silly. I mean, of course, I'm not like downplaying what David has a lot of great ideas. So many that I kind of have to help him dial into, what we should focus on and what we shouldn't. Cause he like has a beautiful, magnificent brain. Like it's always working and it never stops. So when he showed me this at first, I'm a regular person, like much of you that are watching. I do not have a brain that could go into the big future of what is coming, y'all. I mean, and it's coming. It's coming fast and fierce. And as I've been doing a lot of intel through other parts of what I feel TrueSource has really been drawing me towards over this last year, this Meta Campus kept on coming up and up and up. And then finally it clicked and I was like, David, check this out. This is what you were trying to show me? I know it's probably 6 months ago. It was a long time ago. And he's like, yeah. And so, you know, I believe that everything comes in alignment when it's supposed to. And this My Meta Campus, I believe, is going to be a game changer. And as much as some of us are kind of scared to go into this metaverse world, the thing is that, do you remember when there was it went from record players to, it was beta, right, David? The big, yeah.
Yeah, VHS and beta.
Yeah, so VHS, beta, cassette tapes, CDs, you know, and we were all resistant. I mean, I didn't really pay attention because I was totally focused in the gymnastics world at the time. But I remember everybody talking about it and being like, this is so weird. I like the record player. And they wouldn't pivot. So they didn't pivot. And they got like railroaded. I mean,
I bet they're pivoting.
Yeah. So pretty much if you didn't have the pivoting, you lost music. You lost the ability to listen to music moving forward. So think about that in terms of this. You know, there are going to be some good and bad of everything that's moving forward. But with David and I, we're definitely going to make this very positive. And we're going to help you guys get into this metaverse in a positive way that I believe TrueSource wants us all to embrace the technology shift that's about to happen. And there are things that, you know, we really truly believe, I think, are like so far out of our lifetime on this earth that are actually going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. So embrace it, stay in a positive, high vibration, and I believe it's going to turn for the better. So, you know, with that said, I do want to preface that David and I will be limiting our ability to help the masses one-on-one through Ultimate Achievers Alliance, because we are moving into that personal and couples growth moment where we're going to spend a lot of time building what I believe TrueSource is really like heading our way as a couple and individuals. But we don't want to lose working with you guys as individuals. So we are going to limit that ability. This is not a sales close. You guys know that David and I aren't salesy people. You know, we help anybody that is willing to be helped. But at this point, you know, we have to protect our time. So with that said, if you really do want to work with us, there is going to be a limited amount of people that we help one-on-one and even a small group moving into 2022. But we're preparing so that we can help the masses coming out of our 5-year plan. So with that, love you guys. Thank you guys for staying on as long as you have. Aslan is on the move. Yes. All right, David, over to you. Love you. Mwah. Love all of you guys. You're muted, babe. You're muted.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap. There's one more thing I want to say. Like on the screen, Aslan is on the move. If you know, you know. And if you don't, you will soon. This is going to be a game changer. With that, mymetacampus.com. I'll see you there. Woo! Muller's out.